This video will introduce you to 3 influential Roman emperors, highlighting their key achievements and guiding you to the historical sites in Rome where you can walk in their footsteps. Ancient Rome, a city of marble and might, where one man's journey would forever change the course of history. That man was Augustus, born as Octavian, and his story is nothing short of extraordinary. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Imagine being just 18 years old when you discover that your great-uncle, Julius Caesar, has named you his heir. That's exactly what happened to young Octavian in 44 BC. But here's the catch. He wasn't the only one hungry for power. Mark Antony, Caesar's right-hand man, wasn't about to let some teenager take control. What followed was a brutal civil war that would test every ounce of Octavian's cunning and determination. Through clever alliances, strategic thinking, and yes, quite a bit of bloodshed, Octavian emerged victorious. The turning point? The Battle of Actium in 31 BC, where he defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra, effectively becoming the last man standing in Rome's power struggle. But here's where Augustus really showed his genius. Instead of declaring himself dictator like his uncle, he created an entirely new system. He called himself Princeps, first among equals, and Augustus, meaning the revered one. Clever, right? He maintained the illusion of the Republic while holding all the real power. Under his rule, Rome experienced what historians call the Pax Romana, 2 centuries of peace and prosperity. He transformed Rome from a city of brick to a city of marble, established a professional army, created an efficient postal system, and even developed a sophisticated firefighting force. Think of him as the CEO of the ancient world's greatest empire. The fascinating thing about Augustus is that he never technically fell from power. Unlike so many Roman rulers who met violent ends, he managed to maintain his position for over 40 years. He was a master of image control. Just think of him as the original influencer, with his face on coins across the empire and his propaganda reaching the farthest corners of the known world. His death, when it finally came in 14 AD, was relatively peaceful, quite unusual for a Roman emperor. The story goes that his last words were, "Have I played my part well in the comedy of life?" followed by the classic actor's line, "If so, kindly give me your applause as I exit." Even in death, he was staging a performance. Augustus's legacy lived on for centuries. He had created something unprecedented, a system of government that would influence empires for the next 2,000 years. From the British Empire to modern-day political systems, you can still see echoes of what Augustus built. So next time you hear someone say they're building an empire, remember Augustus, the teenager who inherited a republic and left behind the greatest empire the Western world had ever seen. Now that's what you call a career change. Picture ancient Rome, where one of history's most complex emperors, Tiberius, took the throne in 14 AD. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel, His Path to Power. Well, that's quite the family drama. His mother Livia married Emperor Augustus, and through a series of convenient deaths and strategic moves, Tiberius found himself next in line. Not exactly your typical job promotion, right? Now imagine being the follow-up act to Augustus, Rome's beloved first emperor. Talk about pressure. Tiberius started his reign pretty well, actually. He was careful with money, chose capable governors, and kept the empire running smoothly. But here's where things get interesting. He absolutely hated the job. Can you believe that? The most powerful man in the world, and he'd rather be anywhere else. What Tiberius is really remembered for, though, is his later years. Picture this, a moody emperor who gradually becomes more paranoid and reclusive. He eventually abandoned Rome altogether for a villa on the island of Capri. Think of it as an ancient version of working from home, except with more conspiracy and scandal. While he was there, he left most of the actual governing to Sejanus, his trusted deputy, at least until he discovered Sejanus was plotting against him. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. But here's what really made Tiberius infamous: the treason trials. He started seeing enemies everywhere, and anyone could be accused of plotting against him. Imagine living in a time where one wrong word could get you executed. The Romans called it the Reign of Terror, and it wasn't just a catchy nickname. The end of Tiberius's life is like something out of a dark drama. By 37 AD, he was an old man, increasingly isolated and distrusted. The official story says he died of natural causes, but here's the twist. Many believed he was actually smothered with pillows on the orders of his successor, Caligula. Some even say he appeared to die but then regained consciousness, only to be finished off for good. Tiberius left behind a complicated legacy. He was a brilliant military commander and capable administrator who kept the empire stable and prosperous. Yet he's often remembered as the emperor who would rather not be emperor, whose reign began with reluctance and ended in paranoia. It's a reminder that sometimes the people who least want power might be the ones who end up with it, for better or worse. Picture this in ancient Rome, 37 AD. A young man, just 24 years old, becomes the most powerful person in the known world. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. In this video, we'll show you who was Caligula, and his story is one of the most fascinating, disturbing, and controversial tales in Roman history. As a child, little Gaius Julius Caesar, Augustus Germanicus, earned the nickname Caligula, meaning little boot, because he would wear miniature soldiers' boots around military camps. Cute, right? But don't let that fool you. His path to power was paved with family tragedy. Most of his family, including his parents and brothers, were either killed or exiled by the paranoid Emperor Tiberius. Somehow, Caligula survived and was eventually named Tiberius's heir. When he first became emperor, Rome celebrated. The people loved him. He freed prisoners, eliminated unfair taxes, and hosted elaborate public games. For the first 6 months of his reign, Caligula was the ruler Rome had been dreaming of. But then, something changed. Whether it was a mysterious illness that scrambled his mind, or perhaps the intoxicating effects of absolute power, Caligula transformed into someone unrecognizable. He began declaring himself a living god, demanding to be worshipped. He appointed his favorite horse, Incitatus, as a consul. Yes, you heard that right, a horse in government. He turned the imperial palace into a brothel and made senators' wives work there. But it gets worse. Caligula would execute citizens on a whim, often for his own amusement. He once ordered his troops to wage war against Neptune, the god of the sea, by having them collect seashells on the beach. He even had conversations with the moon and planned to make his horse a priest. His extravagance was legendary, and not in a good way. He built a 3-mile floating bridge across the Bay of Baiae just so he could ride his horse across it, wearing Alexander the Great's breastplate. He drained the empire's treasury on ridiculous projects and luxury, then resorted to false charges and executions to seize people's property. The end came swiftly for Caligula. After just 4 years of reign, he had managed to make enemies of pretty much everyone who mattered in Rome. On January 24, 41 AD, a group of Praetorian guards led by Cassius Chaerea cornered him in a palace corridor. Caligula, the self-proclaimed god, died like a mortal, stabbed 30 times. His wife and infant daughter were also killed, ensuring his bloodline wouldn't continue. The most chilling part, Caligula was just 28 years old when he died. In 4 short years, he had transformed from Rome's greatest hope to its worst nightmare, leaving behind a legacy that would fascinate and horrify people for thousands of years to come. His reign serves as a timeless warning about the corrupting nature of absolute power and how quickly a celebrated leader can become a tyrannical monster. Picture yourself stepping through a time portal into ancient Rome, where the echoes of emperors still resonate through the marble columns. But before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. I'm going to take you on a journey following the footsteps of Augustus, Tiberius, and the notorious Caligula. Let's start at the heart of it all, the Roman Forum. This wasn't just any marketplace. This was where Augustus himself would walk, discussing politics and planning his empire. You can still see the Temple of Caesar, where Mark Antony delivered his famous speech, and the House of the Vestal Virgins, where Rome's sacred flame was kept burning. Now, should you explore these ancient wonders alone or with a guide? Here's my honest take. While wandering solo lets you soak in the atmosphere at your own pace, a knowledgeable guide can bring these ruins to life. They'll tell you how Tiberius would pace these very streets, brooding over his political rivals, and point out details you might miss, like the ancient graffiti still visible on some walls. Speaking of must-see sites, the Palatine Hill is where you'll find the palaces of the emperors. Caligula expanded his palace so far it nearly reached the Forum. Talk about a power move. And you absolutely can't miss the Colosseum. While it was built after our 3 emperors' time, it stands as the ultimate symbol of Roman might. But Rome isn't just about sightseeing. It's about living like a Roman. Stop at a traditional trattoria for pasta alla carbonara, a dish that, while not ancient, captures Rome's culinary spirit. Try suppli, these amazing rice balls that'll give you energy for your historical adventure. And don't forget to sample some of the local wine. The Romans certainly wouldn't have. If you're lucky enough to visit in April, You might catch the Natale di Roma festival celebrating Rome's birthday. It's a spectacular display of historical reenactments. Imagine hundreds of people dressed as Roman soldiers and citizens, parading through the streets just as they did 2,000 years ago. As the sun sets over the Tiber River, casting golden light on the ancient stones, you might find yourself feeling connected to those powerful figures who walked these streets millennia ago. Whether you're standing in the Pantheon's shadow or climbing the Spanish Steps, you're not just visiting Rome. You're experiencing a living museum where every stone tells a story of power, ambition, and glory. Remember, while Augustus built in marble what he found in brick, you'll build memories that will last a lifetime. So pack your comfortable shoes, bring your imagination, and prepare to walk in the footsteps of emperors. Rome wasn't built in a day, but you can certainly experience its magnificence in one unforgettable visit. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help us grow our channel. Thank you for watching, and ring that bell to receive notification on new videos.